Hello, it's Greg Harrelson here with Century 21, the Harrelson Group down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I just wanted to share some information with you on a very important topic that seems to come up after the summer season, and that is rental income and how rental income impacts one's property values. For those that own condos, near the ocean or on golf courses, we know that the rental income can impact the property's value. Now, there's a big difference in gross rental income and net rental income. So the reality is that the gross rental income is fantastic to talk about, but it's really the net rental income that has the impact on the value of your condo. So let me just share a few points that I have written down here. Number one is that the net income, as you know, pays for the expenses. Now, it doesn't necessarily pay for all of the expenses, but it should offset quite a bit of your expenses. So when a buyer is thinking about buying, one thing that they're doing is they're asking for the rent rolls. They're asking to see the rental income that's coming in. They want to know the management fees and the additional expenses, and they're trying to come up with what a true net will be after they take out in many cases, high management fees. And so they know that that is the income that they have left over to take care of their taxes, HOA dues, miscellaneous expenses, and if they have a mortgage, their mortgage payment. So the more net income one has, then the lower outflow or a negative cash flow that the investor is going to have. Why is that important? An investor, a lot of times in Myrtle Beach, knows when they buy, they're not necessarily going to have a positive cash flow, but they're willing to tolerate a small negative cash flow to wait for future appreciation. So the smaller the net, the negative cash flow, then the longer an investor can actually wait for the property values to go up. So that's number one. The second thing is that the more net income you have, the bigger the buyer audience. So there are buyers like investors that they need to see good net income, so their expenses for holding the property until they see appreciation are low. So if you have a lower net income, as I mentioned in the first point, you can appeal to them. But what about the people that are not investors? Those are the ones that want to really just vacation down here and they want a property on their own. Well, they are also price sensitive because they've got to look at their cash flow at the end of the year and decide, is that cash flow, will it justify the fact with the amount of times that they use the unit? In other words, if they use the unit for 4 weeks and their negative cash flow is $4,000, that's equivalent to $1,000 per week for the usage of a condo that they own. That might be acceptable. But if their negative cash flow is $20,000 and they only use it 4 weeks, then that is the same as paying $5,000 per week for 4 weeks, or $20,000 a year in negative cash flow. So again, if the negative cash flow is low, then you can also appeal to the people that are justifying purchases by the amount of usage that they have. So now you can justify kind of second time or second homeowners as well as investors. And that's what's critical. We want to have the biggest audience we possibly can to market your property. The third thing is this: the more net income you have, the more staying power that you have. You see, if you've owned in one of the buildings down in Myrtle Beach for a while, you've probably seen where one of your neighbors or somebody on a different floor in the building, they just reduced their price and they sold their property at a very low price, causing everyone's values in the building to go down. Well, why did they do that? A lot of them do that not because they want to give their condo away. They do that because the negative cash flow is so large that they don't have enough staying power. They don't have enough savings in their bank account to continue to pay this month after month, year after year. So they just have to liquidate and rid themselves from the liability. Of course, there are people that find themselves in foreclosures and short sales, unfortunately. There's nothing that we can do that, but in the event that they had a better net income, there's a possibility they could have stayed in the investment longer, waited for the market to appreciate, and then sold at a much higher price. So the bottom line is the more income you have and the more net you have, the more staying power you have to actually continue to stay with this investment, stick it out, and wait for the next big hit on the market. Now, I don't know that we're going to see another 2005 and 2006 anytime soon. I don't think many people would ever say that that's something that's going to happen anytime soon. But we do know that if you do have enough staying power, that the market will shift at some point. So I hope that information helps you. The key is you have to be looking at your rental management companies these days and figuring out how can you get those management fees down? How can you reduce expenses? Because all of that extra income, every time you reduce your expense, most of the time I should say, that reduction in expense falls down to your bottom line. It comes down to your net, and that is the profitability of these condos. I hope that information helps. If there's anything that I can do for you, I'm here for you. I specialize in working the oceanfront, ocean view, golf course vacation condos, so please let me be a resource for you. Thank you.